Hello,
Here we
welcome to
go.
BookShelved.
We are back.
We're back for season 2. Things are looking a little bit different now for this next season for us.
Yes, we're super stoked to be here, though. It's going to be a little bit different, a little bit of a learning curve as we navigate in this new technology we're using.
Yeah, seriously, Zoom has been a difficult thing, but we're trying different techniques to get the video and audio quality to be perfect. So if you have any recommendations or tips, let us know. Um, but yeah, so if you're new here, I'm Danielle, and
I'm Amanda, and we are your hosts for Bookshelved podcast. This is
yes,
season 2.
season 2. So welcome to BookShelved.
What better way to start a season 2 with you living across the country?
I know, seriously. So yeah, if you're not familiar with our podcast, normally Amanda and I are in the same room. We're in the room that she's in right now, which is her library. And so the video is much better quality because she has a fancy camera. So now we are relying on our laptops. Well, I am. Are you using your camera still, or are you just, I guess you're just fully on Zoom with me, right? That was a dumb question. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just using Zoom, and it seems to be easier to edit for YouTube, honestly.
Oh, well, that's good. So now we just have to figure out this lag and we're going to be solid.
Right.
As she says 5 seconds after I say something. So just bear with us, you guys. I promise the content is just as good.
Yeah.
So, season 2. Okay, so season 2, we're on Zoom. So the reason why we're on Zoom, we were talking about a lot towards the end of this last season, but I am now in Philadelphia and Amanda is still in Oregon. So we are doing a 3,000-mile distance podcast. So yeah, so that's why the background for me is very plain and boring, and the background of hers is beautiful and so bookish.
Yes. But typically what you can get from these episodes is every month we do a book of the month where we pick a book to read together. And this month it is Mischief Nights Are Murder. And this is like a cozy, spooky, like Halloween themed book. And at the end of every month, we record a spoiler-filled review of the book. So it will have everything about the book, our thoughts on the book, and again, it will be filled with spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled on it and you plan to read it at a later time, do not watch that episode. But we do that every month, and then in between those episodes, we have just like some fun episodes sprinkled in where we'll do like themes and like sometimes we'll do like fun games. And or we just talk about what's happening in the book community and what our thoughts are on like the drama and the tea, because there's always some of that in the book world.
Yeah, so pretty much,
And then
so I was just gonna say, so pretty much last season, what we did is we had more consistently like longer content filled episodes every week. So what'll be different is we're definitely always gonna have 2 episodes a month, but it'll be a little bit different. So if you're on Spotify, you might get a little bit less of us just because some of the things that we're posting are going to be on YouTube. We have, mini vlogs that we're doing. So kind of what Amanda was saying, we're going to have some fun episodes. They might look a little bit different, have a different format where we're not just sitting down with our microphones. You might see us having thoughts throughout an entire book we're reading, and just whatever fun little content. So that's why it'll be a little bit different. But like she was saying, we're going to have our book of the month still. But in addition to our book of the month, we're going to have a themed episode prop, I would say, while we're recording our book of the month. And this book is actually the reason why we decided to do that for season 2. So this inspired that.
Yep. And then with every episode, we kick it off to talk about what we're currently reading. So Danielle, if you want to start, because I want to hear about what you're reading, even though I know what it is.
Well, I actually not reading that book anymore. So, um, I finished it. Oh, okay. I was like, are you? I was like,
Stop.
I thought that you thought that I just DNF'd it. That was the face that I picked up from that.
I was unsure. I didn't know what was going to be coming out of your mouth here. I was about to be like,
So, yes. So I'm interested to do like a deep dive talk with you on it. So I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but I've been reading Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. We talked about this a little bit in last season, but that is Amanda's favorite book ever. She like cries every time we talk about it. Just tears of love. So I told her for her birthday that I would read her favorite book. So I did that plus a month because life. Um, so yeah, so I liked it. I see why you love it. Well, okay. I see why you love it so much, and at the same time, I'm confused based on what you say you hate in books. Example A, you hate people having dysfunctional relationships with their parents, and that is like all this book is
oh,
about. You didn't get
it's
that
not
with
all that book is
there's a big
about.
chunk because that's I mean
Yeah,
I would beg
yeah,
to differ that that's what the whole premise of this book is on because Magnolia's parents sent her away to boarding school because they didn't want to raise her. And then same thing with BJ's parents, but BJ has better parents. And so the reason why they're
yeah.
so connected on each other is because they were forced to rely on one another at such a young age due to shitty
Right.
relationship with their parents.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, like, I've definitely voiced my opinion about how I don't like how fantasy books always have like the parents are dead or the parent is corrupt or something. But it's not enough. I don't think the like that's like something that'll make me not read a book
Yeah.
or like hate a book for that reason. It's
Yeah.
just something that I'm like, can't there be a book out there that has like a healthy family relationship? But that doesn't make for a good book. But I get what you're
That's true.
saying. But it's definitely like that wouldn't make me like hate a book, you know?
Okay. Yeah. No,
And
it was
I like how Jessa did it too, because Jessa did it, she didn't do it as like, oh, I just hate my parents. Like she really like dives into like what's going on and they're a part of the story like that, like the dysfunctional part of their family is like a really it's like it's molded into the story and
yeah,
kind of throughout
yeah.
the whole series too. If you decide to continue the series, you'll see it
I do want to. It'll
like
probably
evolve.
be a little bit just because it didn't make the cut for coming here like the other books in the series. But I will read it because
Yeah.
I did really like it. And when I first started reading it, we had read last month's book of the month, and that was kind of the only book I was reading for 2 months. And we talked about this in a previous episode, but let's just say I wasn't very much into my reading mentality, so to speak. So it took me a little bit to get going. Just, also, I just started nursing school. So a lot of my attention has been to that. So, like, getting started in a book is a whole feat on its own of just getting into it, you
Mhm.
know? So I had to get into it. And so
Right.
once I finally got into it, about 50 pages in, then I couldn't put it down. And then at that point, I was reading 100 pages a day. So it was a great book. I loved it.
I know
And
it's so funny when you were first talking about it. When you were first talking about it, you were like, "I'm gonna read like a chapter a week or two chapters a week," and I was like, "It's gonna take her months to get through that."
I
But
know, well, I was
I had
sitting,
a sneaky suspicion that you were gonna finish it sooner.
well, I had the bar set low. And we've talked about this in the past, like when we're in moods where we just can't really read that much. And so one of my techniques, which we in a previous episode in season one, we talk about different strategies on how to get back into reading when you're kind of on this dry period.
Mhm.
And one of mine is usually setting the timer for 10 minutes and reading what I can in 10 minutes, and I'll usually go longer. But in this case, I was setting the bar so low of like, you just have to read 30 pages a week. If you read 30 pages a week, you did it. You know that you are reading your book. And so once I set the bar low, then I just kind of automatically know that if I were to read 31 pages, then I would be above my goal. And then I just kind of keep reading more because I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm feeding off of that energy. Meanwhile, I'm getting into the book. And
Hmm.
honestly, the
Right.
beginnings of books are really hard for me to get into. Like, there's not usually a book that I'm just immediately in it, especially a fantasy book, but even just a book in general. Like, it just takes a minute. And yeah, it probably won't happen now that I'm reading again. And so I just picked up this book because now I'm reading this book and I've read a couple of chapters at bedtime. And the same thing, like my goal is to read a chapter at bedtime every day. If I read more than that, then that's great.
Well,
What are
I'm
you
very
reading?
excited that you finished it, and I hope that you continue to read them because they're my people. I am reading a fan fiction, and I know it's gonna be like weird, like because most people don't like read fan fiction. But I recently got into it, and mainly because of bookbinding, because I wanted to be able to like print pages, sew them together, and make a book completely from scratch. And the only way you can do that is with fan fiction, because you can't
Mm.
buy typesets for published books. Um, but this one that I'm reading, this is the book I made. First of
It's
all, it's
so
very pretty.
pretty.
And it's called Measure of a Man. I
That's
know it's
pretty.
freaking gorgeous. And it's called a three-piece braidle, so it's cool. But it's called Measure of a Man.
That's
And then this
awesome.
is book one of three, and this one is titled Nothing. Yeah. And it's a Harry Potter fan fiction. But it is, you haven't read Harry Potter, but Harry Potter, there's like a big war that happens in that series. And this is post-war, like years later, when they're grown and like Draco has kids and Harry Potter has kids and stuff like that. And their kids are like 5. Um, but it is so good because Hermione is like, she's a healer in here and she's working with Draco's mom who has dementia. And usually, like in
Mm.
the Harry Potter world and like wizards and witches and stuff, dementia isn't like a thing. Like they don't know what that is because they just cast a spell and fix it. But there's
Hmm.
like some form of dementia that has been able to stay with the wizards and like it's very closely related to a type of dementia that like normal people get. So it's really good. It's like it's a slow burn, so everything just moves so slowly, but in such a beautiful way. Like this
You're a
should be
sucker for
published
slow
because
burn.
I read this I'm reading this and I'm sitting here just like feeling so comfy. Like this is going to be a comfort
Aw.
read for me. Like I just feel like it's a warm hug. And I'm like, I'm so obsessed. Like I never thought I would feel this way about a fan fiction book. And I'm like, I'm smitten over it. It is so good.
Where did you find the
But that's what I'm
typeset?
reading. And I'm really excited. So this girl that I follow, she made this typeset. Her name is Lucid Dreams on Instagram, and I will share it. But her typeset is so beautiful. Every chapter has these like really pretty florals or like food, like fruit and stuff, because Hermione has a greenhouse, and like that's what she kind of uses for treatment is like medicinal like going out and being in nature and
Mm. Oh, I
touching
like
dirt and
that.
like all that stuff. Girl, it's good. Like you need to watch Harry Potter so you at least get like the background and then read this book.
I know I've only watched the first Harry Potter, so I will do better. I was kind of thinking
Yeah.
about
Yeah, I think
I was thinking about watching
go ahead.
it when I come home for winter break because I pretty much plan on just sticking around being home. So I think that'd be a
Yeah.
nice little slumber watch. Well, that's good. I
I was
love
going to tell you
that.
to read the books. I was going to tell you to read the book so you can start like reading this, but I was like, that would take ages. So just watch the movies because you can do
Yeah.
that a lot faster.
Yeah, I do want to read them at some point, but that's not going to be for probably a couple of years if I'm being just so honest with you.
Yeah.
Because, like, for this year, I brought all the books that I'm going to be reading, except for I think we'll probably buy one more book for our book of the month, because we wanted to do a themed December one. But other than that, like, my book buying is capped for here. But yeah, when I get home, I could start reading them.
Yeah, you can borrow mine.
Perfect. So you did a little project within the last week. So there's this, I don't know
Oh
if this
yeah.
is kind of a new thing going around or if it's really popular right now, but it's trending to take all of the books that you have yet to read, so your TBR, and to yes, and to cut or to print out the, I guess, the covers of them and then to cut them out and then you put what is it like foam in between and you're essentially making mini books of the books you have
Yeah.
left to read and then you put them in a jar and what do you draw the jar for your next read or what?
Yeah. So then you draw when you're going to grab a new read, and then that's the one you read. And so my friend Devin, she actually lives in Pennsylvania. She um, um, did this, and I was like, well, now I have to do that. And so she did her jar. She's like, I seriously thought I was gonna fill this thing up. Like it was just the bottom cover. There's 75 books in there, and she like barely filled her jar. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have the same issue. And my jar is
Okay, so
overflowing, and this,
before you say how many, can you clarify that for a series, you only have the first book in there?
yes. So for the series, I only have like the first book in here. I did notice that for like a couple of them, I did all the books probably because I was just in the zone, like putting books in. And but for the most part, my series is only the first book in here or the book in that series that I'm up to read, you know? Um,
Okay.
and then I also noticed that I have a stack of books like in the corner over there that didn't get put in here. So that's more. And then this girl just sent me 14 books. So there's 14 more that need to go in here. And I'm like,
Wait, so 14
so
from the
this is
girl, and then how many books didn't make the cut
another
or
little another like seven.
okay, so that's what, 21 books. So let's remember that we have to add 21 to the number that
Yeah.
you're about to say.
Yeah, so there's 231 books in here
So
in this book jar.
252 books. 252 books that Amanda owns and has not read. Let me just say it again. 252 books. Not even including the
Okay,
full series
but
of
I'm gonna cut you off right there because you fed into this for me. Because remember, if you guys watched our Powell vlogs, when I was like, I am not gonna buy any books, if you were like, you are gonna buy books. I won't let you go there and not buy books.
Don't
So
tell me that I had to do much convincing for you to buy those books, though. You got those books. You were having a great time by the end. You were just like,
you're
oh, you
supposed
told me I should read this. It's going in the cart.
Oh yeah, by then I was just numb to the money. I was like, just keep putting it. But okay, you guys, like this, everybody should do this though, that has a lot of books. Because seeing this, I'm like, I'm never buying a book again. Like, I can't. I'm obviously like going to do trades with my little fan fiction binder friends still, but I cannot buy another traditionally published book until I make a dent in this. Like, I can't even draw a book out here. I literally will like dump some in my shirt and then I draw from there, which I did draw my first book today that I'm going to take on my trip with me because I'm flying home to see my mom tomorrow. And I drew this one called The Royal Assassins. So this is going on my trip
I
with me.
have an objection on that book. You're supposed to
This one?
read, yeah, you're supposed to read Layla next. That was the whole deal. I read Magnolia Parks, you read Layla.
Oh, I have an update. I started reading Layla and it started giving me bad anxiety, dude. Like,
Why? Like
because
what part?
you know how it's like it was at the beginning, I was reading it and I don't know, probably need to read more of it, but right away in the beginning, you're like, I started like, I have a crazy fear of death. And like it started talking like, I don't know, about like themes of death and stuff. And I was just like, I don't know. I started like my heart started racing. I'm reading it though. I did start it for you. It's happening. It's on my
Good.
Kindle. I'm gonna read it on my Kindle because I can just read on my Kindle
Yeah.
faster. But it's going. But that is my first update
I would
is
say
triggered a little.
I could see that because I could see it being a little triggering. They kind of, I would say when you're in the middle of the book, you're not thinking about death, even though there's a ghost involved. You're not thinking about death, I guess.
Yeah, if it's not like I will finish it if it's not like a main theme of the book where it's talking about like your mortality a bunch and stuff because
No,
I can't do
so
that shit.
what what I am thinking you're referring to, because I don't want to give any spoilers away if you haven't read Layla, which we're talking about Layla by Colleen Hoover. That just what happens in those initial scenes is the why the main chunk of the book is happening, so to speak. And then at the very end, you learn why that's connected, but
Yeah,
they don't, they might refer back to the incident, like not referring back to it often, but of just when they're thinking about something, like behaviors
right.
that might connect back,
Okay.
but it's not a
Mhm.
continuous, yeah. When did you start it?
I would say a week ago.
Okay. Wow, you left that out?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to podcast.
That's true. Are you doing little video updates?
Not for this one. We're gonna we'll figure that out. I'll tell you.
Okay.
We'll talk about that offline. Like when
Okay.
we're gonna do that stuff. But no, that is going on the trip with me. So
Okay, good.
I'm taking three physical books with me on my Kindle. I'm not gonna read all of them, but I want options. I'm gonna take
Yeah,
our book of the month, The Measure of a Man, and then this one.
perfect.
Because I have long layovers and then my flights are long. So
You just gotta read all the way through. That'll be
I
nice.
know.
Also,
Right.
another thing that'll be good about you not buying any more books is eventually you're gonna get to the second book in the Knock 'Em Out series, which needs to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. I'll draw that sometime.
Yes. So I'm excited about that because that'll be a whole thing when we get to talk about you finally reading, what is it? Things something in the dark.
We never got over.
No, that's number one, right? Things we never got over. Isn't that book number one?
Oh, Things We Left Behind. Was it that one?
That's the third book. That's the purple one. The pink one is the second one.
It's something. It's Things We Something.
Yeah, I think it's things we left in the dark because the first one is things we left behind or something. I don't know. My favorite book, and I will never remember the actual name of it.
You literally forget that every time.
No, it's
Every
bad.
time.
It's bad. I should like, I don't have any tattoos, but that should be my one tattoo, just like on the palm of my hand, the name of the book, so I never
So you
forget
just
it.
never forget.
Because I refer to that
Oh,
book often.
it's Things We Hide from the Light.
Oh, hide from the light. Interesting.
I guess.
What did I
Maybe because
say?
you don't
Things
you
that
want
get
to
left
keep
in the
things in the
dark.
dark. I don't
Yes.
know.
Oh, see, I knew it had
Touche.
something to do with lightness, brightness, lightness,
Yeah.
darkness, whatever.
The absence of lightness, you know.
Absence of light. Yes. Okay. Can we see how long we've been
Yeah, but that was
recording?
my journey. Yeah, sure. It took me 2 weeks to make all those little books, by the way. Like, I did not know it was gonna be that big of a project, but it was actually like pretty fun because like now I want to build myself like a little bookshelf and just put all my little books that I do read on the bookshelf because they're so cool.
That would be
Yeah, I
super
even have
cute.
one for yeah, I even have one for our little book of the month that we're reading right now. It's on my shelf over there, but
Oh, that's
like look at
cute.
my little Allie Hazelwood. Oh my goodness.
No, that seems like a fun little project. When you were posting on your stories, just like sitting in your backyard cutting stuff, I was like, that's such cute like arts and crafts. I love it.
Right, yeah, super fun.
So I can't see how long we've been recording for, which is weird.
Oh, lovely.
I
That's okay.
know. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, we're chilling. We're at 27 minutes, so we're fine.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have limits with Zoom. So you guys, we're not going to be giving you like hour-long podcasts. We're
Yes.
40 minutes, okay?
You get capped at
Wham
40
bam, thank
minutes.
you, ma'am.
So unfortunately, you don't get to hear us any
Yeah.
longer. I feel so sorry for you, but you can always go back to season one and re-listen to some episodes if you want to hear our voices more. Alrighty, well, come
Yep.
back for our next episode, not our episode about the book of the month, which is Mischief Nights or Murder. But the following episode, I will talk about the rest of the books, and I'll have a different format too, where we can see them a little bit more.
Yeah, sounds
But
good.
yeah, alrighty. Well, thanks for tuning in to BookShelved Season 2, and we're looking forward to providing more content for you guys.
Thanks, guys. We're going to continue in this season two, our signing off.
Signing off. Bye.
Bye.